Peace, everyone. This is Kashia, also known as @AlienBlackGirl_ with the Black Librarian podcast out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. And today we're going to talk about accountability. We're going to talk about what it means, the consequences of the lack of accountability, and some steps on how we can begin to take accountability for our lives right now. So come on in. Welcome back. This is @AlienBlackGirl_, also known as Kashia, with the Black Librarian podcast out of Fayetteville, North Carolina. And before I begin, go ahead and follow me on Instagram @AlienBlackGirl_ and the podcast, the Black Librarian podcast _ on Instagram, and you can find me on Facebook and all of those things. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about accountability. Now, I know it is a bit of a shift from where the episodes have been going, but I'd like to weave in some us-to-us talk, in between the storytelling, because there are things that are going on in our surroundings that we should talk about, So I think that one of the things to begin with is accountability. So what does it mean to be accountable? Just think about it. Well, that's enough. So being accountable is to account for each action, each transaction that occurred in an instance. Oftentimes when we tell a story, especially when it comes to severing of ties, whether it's a relationship or a friendship or leaving a job or anything of that nature, we tend to tell the story where, that other person was wronged, or, I just couldn't get down with that anymore, and things of that nature, but we never really pinpoint our role in that situation, especially when it comes to parting ways in relationships or friendships. We never stop to take accountability and account for how we aligned with that energy or that person in the first place. What part of us do we need to assess? Because in order for us to sever that tide, we have to awaken to the fact that, wait a minute, this isn't right. So we should assess, where that sameness came from. How is our character, and what are we building on and foundating ourselves on to even be in those situations that we may deem, not aligned with our journey or path, not within our character, not a part of our culture, which is a key thing. I'm always going to express culture, because our culture defines who we are, what we do, how we live, how we mate, all of those things. And when I say mate, I mean, matching, your compliments. And I can go on forever about that idea of complement instead of equals. But today we're talking about accountability. And it's really important as we go through our spiritual journeys, or our awakenings, as I like to call them. There's a level of accountability that must happen in order for us to truly grow and us to truly evolve. And a lot of times, accountability being one of those first steps, it's even hard to come by, to face, because we like to keep ourselves in the perpetual victim mode. Meaning, woe is me, this always happens to me, I can't find anybody good, or I'm always doing this, I don't have any friends. Well, why? What is the root? What is the solution? If you're noticing a pattern that you don't like about what's going on in your surroundings, it's a really good time to focus on how you can transfer from victim to victor. And that really includes, again, that accountability piece. So, question: have you ever once evaluated your life to see where you are flawed? does me asking you that question make you shift and shake in your seat and think, well, I have no flaws? Well, maybe you should ask that question. And have you turned to those you identify as community and family, those who you trust to give you a true, honest assessment of yourself? Are you ready to sit and listen and hear what is going to be said? To hear from others your actions and how those actions may have affected things you have become unaware of. Because a lot of times we do things and really don't, though we may not see the immediate reaction to that action, it happens. It expels somewhere. So would you be open to hear that open, honest account of how you may have abandoned projects or people, where you fear that someone is going to hurt you or violate your trust? Have you violated someone's trust? Have you hurt someone? Being accountable requires truth. Being accountable also requires humility and listening. So I ask again, are you ready for the truth? For some, the answer is no. And there's a deliberate choice to remain in that victim role and blame others for the lack. So, are you ready for that truth? To face yourself and account for the actions and missteps and deliberate going against what you know was right? Are you ready to account for those steps so that you can truly move forward in your journey? Can't skip over the realness and the rawness and then try to claim, quote unquote, conscious or awaken. Awakening and consciousness is so much more than looking good. It is definitely about being good, being accountable, being able to own up to your actions, good or bad, and understanding why you may have been attracted to certain people or energies or thoughts or words. What drew you there initially? What turned you away? Can you verbalize your actions? Almost like a confession. But when retracing those steps and those actions, a lesson must be learned so not to repeat them again moving forward. You don't want accountability to turn into insanity. Something to think about. Give thanks. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Black Librarian podcast on all social media outlets. And let me know what you think about today's episode and what are your thoughts on the topic. Can't wait to hear from you.